Good evening. I'm here tonight to take you deep into one of the most disturbing cases of teenage obsession and digital age violence that shocked a Florida community in 2009. This is a story where jealousy, technology, and young love collided with deadly consequences. A story where social media became a weapon, and words became threats that spiraled into an unthinkable tragedy. Tonight, we examine the case of Wade and Sarah Ludemann, two young women whose lives became entangled in a web of obsession over one man. A rivalry that began with angry text messages, escalated through threatening voicemails, and ended with a knife in the darkness of a Pinellas Park street. This is the story of how a love triangle became a murder case. Rachel Wade, born February 27, 1990. A petite blonde with wide eyes and a confident smile. Friends called her independent chic, a young woman who seemed to have it all figured out. By 19, she had her own apartment, her own car, her own life. She worked as a server at Applebee's, earning enough to pay her own way in the world. But beneath that independence was something darker, a need to be wanted, a need to be chosen, a need to win. Her childhood seemed normal enough. Growing up in Pinellas Park, Florida, in a modest brown house with a pool, parents who worked hard, her mother an assistant teacher, her father a truck driver, an older brother, a seemingly stable home. But by 15, cracks began to show. Rachel clashed with her parents over curfews and boyfriends. She ran away 14 times in her sophomore year alone. She dropped out of school, and there was an incident, one that her mother would later describe to police, involving Rachel, a kitchen drawer, and a pampered chef knife. Even then, the warning signs were there, but no one could have predicted what was coming. Sarah Ludemann, 18 years old, tall, athletic, a daddy's girl who loved country music and sang along to the radio in her father's taxicab. She was a good student, a tomboy, someone who'd never been in trouble. Never even had a boyfriend. Until she walked into a Chick-fil-A one summer afternoon and saw a boy with curly black hair peek out from the kitchen. He winked at her, and just like that, Sarah Ludemann fell in love for the first time. Her friends would later say she changed after meeting Josh Camacho. She lost weight, 30 pounds. She stopped dressing like herself. She became someone else, someone controlled, manipulated, owned. But at 18, when you're in love for the first time, you don't see the warning signs. You don't listen to your friends when they tell you to leave. You don't press charges when he hits you. You just hold on tighter. Sarah Ludemann was holding on for dear life. What she didn't know was that she wasn't the only one. Joshua Camacho, 5'5" with sculpted shoulders and a swagger that made him seem bigger than he was. Dark curls spilling over his forehead. A tattoo across his back in Gothic letters, Camacho. Photos on his phone showing him flexing, posing with guns, playing the part of someone dangerous. He worked fast food. He had no car. He lived with family. He already had a child with another woman, his baby mama, as he called her, but paid no child support. And yet, two intelligent young women were willing to destroy each other for him. How? Because Josh Camacho understood something about teenage girls. He understood insecurity. He understood the desperate need to feel special, to feel chosen. And according to those who knew him, he would say the words that would seal both girls' fates. If you love me, you'll fight for me. But here's the thing investigators would later discover. Josh Camacho wasn't dating either of them. Not really. When questioned under oath, he called them friends with benefits. Nothing serious, nothing exclusive. While Sarah thought she was his girlfriend, and Rachel thought she was his girlfriend, Josh Camacho was playing them both, and a third woman, maybe more. One detective would later call him a player. The girl's friends had another word, user. But the question that still haunts this case is, why did he let it go so far? Did he enjoy watching them fight over him? Did he feed on their jealousy? Or was he simply indifferent to the violence brewing in his wake? We may never know, because after Sarah Ludemann died, Joshua Camacho disappeared. The year was 2009. Facebook was exploding. MySpace was still relevant, Text messages were unlimited. And for the first time in human history, teenage rivalries didn't have to wait for school hallways or weekend parties. They could happen anytime, anywhere, with just the push of a button. Rachel Wade and Sarah Ludemann discovered each other the way most rivals do in the digital age, through social media. Sarah posted a photo on MySpace, her and Josh, together in New York, smiling like a couple. The message was clear: he's mine. Rachel saw the photo, and she snapped. What followed was months of psychological warfare conducted through screens, voicemails dripping with profanity and threats, text messages designed to wound, MySpace posts crafted to taunt. August 26, 2008. Rachel Wade left this message on Sarah Ludemann's voicemail. "I'm guaranteeing you I'm going to F-ing murder you." Another message, same day. "You're a F-ing fat B, and I'm going to F-ing kill you, I swear on my life." Sarah saved these messages, all of them, 8 months' worth, played them over and over, let the rage and fear build with each listen. But here's what's important to understand. Sarah was sending messages too, taunting Rachel at her workplace, showing up at Applebee's with friends, tripping Rachel while she carried trays, complaining she spit in their food, confronting her in parking lots. This wasn't one-sided. This was mutual destruction. And the technology made it so easy. You could threaten someone without looking them in the eye. You could escalate without seeing the fear on their face. You could say things you'd never say in person, and hit send before thinking about the consequences. Psychologists who later studied this case noted something chilling. In the old days, rivals would fight, cool off, and move on. But in the digital age, the fight never ends. Every message is preserved. Every taunt is permanent. Every threat lives forever in your inbox, fueling the rage until something breaks. On April 14, 2009, something broke. It was a warm spring evening in Pinellas Park. Sarah Ludemann had been crying all day, for 2 weeks straight, actually. She'd lost 30 pounds. Her eyes were constantly swollen. Her father would later say she was disappearing before his eyes. The reason? Josh. Always Josh. That afternoon, she'd seen Rachel's MySpace status, "Lovin' my boo." Was he with her? Was he choosing Rachel over her? Sarah texted Josh frantically, begging, pleading. "You say you love me, but you don't even have the decency to text me back?" Finally, at 8:02 p.m., Josh responded, "Bring the movies." Sarah grabbed her mom's minivan and drove the 2 blocks to Josh's sister's house. Before she left, she updated her MySpace one last time. "I love you, baby." Meanwhile, across town, Rachel Wade was waiting for Josh, too. He was supposed to come over, but he wasn't answering her calls either. Around dark, Rachel was walking her dog when she heard a car horn. She would later tell police she saw Sarah drive by in a minivan yelling, "Stay away from my man." Rachel said she was scared. She called her ex-boyfriend, Javier, and asked if she could come over. She didn't want to be alone. Then she went to her kitchen, opened a drawer, and pulled out a steak knife. Friends would later ask, why did she take the knife? If she was just scared, why not call the police? Why not stay inside and lock the door? Rachel's answer, "I didn't think they would attack me if they saw the knife." But prosecutors would argue something else. She took that knife because she was done being the other woman. She was done sharing Josh, and if Sarah Ludemann wouldn't back down, then Rachel Wade was prepared to make her. 11 p.m. Sarah was at Josh's sister's house playing video games, trying to pretend everything was normal. Then headlights cut through the windows. Josh recognized the car, Rachel's red Saturn. Rachel texted Josh, "Now I know why you're not talking to me, because you got her." Josh, allegedly intoxicated on vodka and marijuana, typed back, "That's right. I don't like you no more. Why are you down this street? Go home." Rachel responded, "No, I'll wait for her to go home." Sarah had already busted her curfew. Her dad was texting, "When?" She wrote back, "Soon." But Sarah waited, watched Rachel's headlights fade, watched her drive away. Just before midnight, Josh's sister asked Sarah for a ride to McDonald's. Sarah agreed. As they drove, they passed a friend who told them, "I just saw Rachel. She's at Javier's house." Sarah's face changed. According to witnesses, something hardened in her expression. She sped toward Javier's house. Her phone rang. She put it on speaker. Rachel's voice shrieked through the car. "I'm going to kill you. You and your Mexican boyfriend." Sarah slammed on her brakes in front of Javier's house, left the keys in the ignition, engine running, door open. She jumped out in her flip-flops and charged toward Rachel. What happened next depends on who you believe. Rachel's version. Sarah came at her, fists flying, hit her 3 times in the head. Rachel was scared, outnumbered. Sarah's friends were there too. She swung the knife wildly, defensively. She didn't even realize she'd stabbed Sarah until someone told her. The prosecution's version, Rachel approached Sarah's van with the knife already in hand. Sarah barely had time to get out of the vehicle before Rachel attacked her. It wasn't self-defense, it was murder. Witnesses on both sides told different stories, but the physical evidence told its own truth. 2 stab wounds, one to the shoulder, one to the chest, directly into the heart. Sarah staggered back to the minivan, clutching her chest, her hands sticky with her own blood. She fumbled for her phone and called Josh. "It hurts," she gasped. Then she collapsed into the street. Rachel threw the knife onto a neighbor's roof. Witnesses said she calmly lit a cigarette and said 2 words, "I'm done." Josh ran the 2 blocks to Sarah's house and told her father there'd been a fight. Charlie Ludemann drove to the scene. His daughter was surrounded by paramedics. He tried to reach her. Police pulled him back. "I knew she was dead," he would later say. "I knew there was nothing anyone could do." At 2:29 a.m., doctors pronounced Sarah Ludemann dead. She was 18 years old. Rachel Wade was arrested hours later. When police told her Sarah had died, Rachel began to sob. "I didn't mean to," she kept saying. "I didn't mean to." July 20th, 2010. More than a year after Sarah's death, Rachel Wade's trial began. True TV and CNN covered it live. The courtroom was packed, teenagers on one side supporting Rachel, Sarah's family on the other. The evidence was damning. Prosecutors played the voicemails. Rachel's voice, venomous and threatening. "I'm going to murder you." They called Joshua Camacho to the stand. He showed up in a coat and tie, playing the part of a respectable young man. But under questioning, the truth emerged. He admitted he'd been sleeping with both girls, with his baby mama too. "Friends with benefits," he kept saying. The defense attorney asked, "Did you love Sarah?" Josh hesitated, then softly, "I think I did." Rachel's lawyer argued self-defense. He pointed out Sarah was bigger, 5'9", 166 pounds compared to Rachel's 5'4", 110 pounds. He brought up incidents where Sarah and her friends had harassed Rachel at work, taunted her, intimidated her. Rachel took the stand in her own defense, tears streaming down her face. She insisted she was scared that night. She didn't approach Sarah. Sarah came to her. "I never went after them," Rachel testified. "They came to me." But prosecutor Lisette Hanowich wasn't having it. "Why get rid of the knife if you were acting in self-defense?" she demanded. "You wanted to get rid of the evidence." The jury heard all of it, the threats, the rivalry, the obsession, the fatal confrontation. They deliberated for just 2.5 hours. Guilty, second-degree murder. Rachel Wade convulsed in sobs as the verdict was read. She was 20 years old, September 3rd, 2010. Rachel Wade stood before Judge Joseph Ballone for sentencing. Prosecutors recommended life in prison. The defense asked for 15 years. The judge acknowledged Rachel's youth, her lack of criminal history, the mitigating factors. But then he said something that silenced the courtroom. "The murder was no accident. I believe you intended to kill Sarah Ludemann." 27 years in state prison. Rachel's lawyer told reporters the case was a cautionary tale about social media and technology. The ability of people to hide behind screens and make statements, it just festered until it bubbled up and exploded. Rachel herself, in a later interview, said, "Social media played a major part. It gives people the ability to say whatever they want with very little consequence." Sarah's father, Charlie Ludemann, filed a civil suit against Rachel, but no amount of money could bring his daughter back. Rachel Wade was sent to Lowell Correctional Institution. She appealed her conviction in 2012. The appeal was denied. She remains in prison today. Her earliest possible release date is sometime in the 2030s. She'll be in her 40s. So what really happened that night on a dark Pinellas Park street? Was it self-defense, as Rachel claims? A scared teenage girl, outnumbered and attacked, who swung wildly to protect herself? Or was it premeditated murder? A jealous rival who grabbed a knife from her kitchen, hunted down her competition, and struck with lethal precision. The jury decided. The judge sentenced. The case is closed. But there are questions that will never be answered. Why did Rachel take that knife? If she was truly scared, why not stay home? Why confront the situation at all? Why did Sarah drive to Javier's house that night? She could have gone home. She could have walked away from Josh Camacho and his toxic games. Why did she chase this confrontation? And most haunting of all, where was Joshua Camacho when both girls needed him most? After Sarah died, Josh didn't visit her in the hospital. He skipped her funeral. He never wrote to Rachel in jail. Never visited, never took responsibility for the role he played in orchestrating this tragedy. His family shipped him off to relatives in New York. When reporters tried to reach him, he hung up 3 times. He disappeared, like a puppet master vanishing after a show. Some say he's still out there somewhere, living his life, maybe with another girl, maybe with 2. The case has been featured on Dateline NBC, Deadly Women, and other true crime shows. It's been dissected by psychologists, used as a teaching tool about the dangers of social media and toxic relationships. But for 2 families in Pinellas Park, it's not a case study. It's not a cautionary tale. For Charlie and Gay Ludemann, it's an empty bedroom kept as a shrine to their daughter. It's a life that will never be lived, grandchildren they'll never meet, a hole that can never be filled. For Barry and Janet Wade, it's visits to a prison. It's watching their daughter age behind bars. It's wondering what they could have done differently. And somewhere the questions linger in the Florida night. Could this have been prevented? If the girls had never had social media to fuel their rage, if they'd never been able to send those threatening messages, if they'd had to confront each other face to face from the beginning, would Sarah Ludemann still be alive? Or was this tragedy inevitable the moment 2 young women fell for the same man and decided he was worth fighting for? We may never know the full truth. The only 2 people who were really there that night are a dead girl who can't speak and a convicted killer whose story never quite added up. What we do know is this. On April 14, 2009, 2 teenage girls went to war over a boy who wasn't worth either of them. 1 girl is dead. 1 girl is in prison. And the boy they fought over is gone. The case of Rachel Wade is closed, but the questions remain open. In the end, the only mystery that really matters is the one we'll never solve. How do you measure the true cost of obsession? How do you calculate the price of jealousy? And when does love become something far more dangerous? And this has been the story of Rachel Wade and Sarah Ludemann, a story of teenage love, digital warfare, and a knife in the darkness. A story that ended with one question echoing through the Florida night. Was it worth it? Good night.